Hello everyone, good day. Welcome to attend Hikvision HCSA-Display training program. Today we will introduce how to install a LED wall for you. So after today's course, we hope you can understand and master installation preparation first, and then master product installation and its configuration, and learn experience from some case. Alright? So the content of today is as follows: preparation and site survey, which is very important, and installation and configuration, and at last some case study. So the LED for today's course are all cabinet LED, not module. Alright? So before we get into install the LED bracket and cabinet, we should do some preparation and do site survey. So the first thing, the site environment check. I have listed all important things you have to notice. So for example, is there any third-party construction team or other factors? If the site is still have some risks for LED screen installation, and check if the power supply is ready or not. Check if there is an individual LED power supply with individual power cabinet, right? Calculate with 1200 watt power budget per square meter, since a big LED wall needs lots of power supply, right? So this is something that you should also check when doing the site survey also. I will talk about it later. And check if the installation site is under security. Make sure that all non-relevant person will be kept out of that area to avoid any man-made damage. And at last, remove the irrelevant objects and clean up the dust of the floor. And for person who are going to install the LED, he should equip it with anti-ESD ring and gloves, and also to release static electricity from human body before the installation. So this is also very important. So except from the equipment, we should also do the preparation of operation tools, right? So like safety helmet, safety rope, toolkit for aerial work. Anyone walking over 2 meters high must be with safety helmet and safety rope, alright? And like ladders and other lift up device should check the security and the stability in advance, alright? Or ask someone to help to hold it steady. So these are all important things you should pay attention to before the installation. And then there are some tools for LED screen installation, like cross or straight screwdriver, flexible rule, spanner, hexagonal wrench, and a leveling instrument or gradient and plug bob to help you to check if the surface is level, etc., and percussion drilling and diagonal pliers, etc. And we have a list of tools you can get from our side, from Hikvision. And after preparation, we should do the site survey. And to help us to record all the details of the installation site and what to pay attention to. Because each installation site is different, right? So there are different kind of points we should pay attention to. So basically we should do check installation environment, the ways of installation, size of the display wall, load bearing, power supply, furnishing, condition of transportation, and at last filling the site survey checklist with our customer. Next, I will pick up some key points and explain these 8 main contents one by one. So first will be the installation environment. We have already talked about something in the preparation part, right? We should check the flatness of loading ground, ask and inform customer to rectify if necessary. And also we should check if this bracket should be installed under the electrostatic floor. So this is also very important. And also to check if there is AC in the area, and if there is AC in the area, it will make damage to our LED screen. All right, and check the temperature and the humidity of the environment is suitable. Check if it is suitable for LED display installation and working. And then is type of installation bracket. You have to check the type of bracket if we should use floor standing or wall mounted. And you should pay attention to that, for example, for some small or middle scale project, we should use wall mounted. And for some middle and large scale, we should suggest to use floor standing bracket. And then is the dimension information. You should take a size measurement of installation environment to check if it meets the installation requirement. And there is a formula for you to calculate the suitable distance between the seats and the screens. It should be between 1000 multiplied the pixel page meter to 3000 multiplied the pixel page meter. And if it is a kind of rear maintenance bracket, then make sure the reserved place between the screen and the wall is more than 80 centimeters. And also the height of the basement and the electrostatic floor. And also the size of the special barrels. If there is a barrel in the side, you should also make it down, write it down. And here is an example of sketch that you should use it as an example. Like the left side wall, the distance between the screen and the left side wall, and the distance between the screen and the ground, and also the distance between the rear wall, and also the distance between the screen and the right side wall, for example. You can also sketch it by yourself. And then will be the load bearing capacity. So you should check if the installation environment will afford the weight of LED screens. Right? To ask the customer to have a professional investigation by third-party company, which can provide the weight information of the screens. And here are some attention points. You should make an extra strengthening for the electrostatic floor if the LED screen are installed on it. All right? And you should check if the wall will meet the requirement of fixing the bracing pieces. And how to check if the wall is qualified or not? You can also check it by observing. Observing by eyes, check the thickness, the color, the shape of the wall, and by knock the wall and listening to the echo, for example, and then asking, just go ahead and ask relevant stuff, like for example by third-party company to check the type and architecture of the wall. Now, the next step will be the cabling. You should check the wiring solution in advance. This is very important. You should check the installation location of the LED controller, video controller, power cabinet with users. It is recommended to set beside the screens. All right? And you should check the length and wiring of the power and network cabling, of course, and check if it needs bridge wiring or piercing wiring. Is there any barrier there in the wiring? If the wiring needs a long distance, okay? It's also very important for this kind of situation. And some attention points, if the wiring distance is less than 60 meters, you should choose Cat5e cable. And if the distance exceeds than 60 meters, you should choose Cat6e cable. If the distance is more than 100 meters, it's better for you to choose fiber transmission. And the strong and weak current should all wiring individually, all right? And the next part will be the interior decorating. What does it mean? So you should check the site if it will have a further interior decorating or not. So some attention points is you should check if there's any decoration around the LED screens or if there's any further decorating or not. If so, you should check it will be done before or after the LED screen installation and clear with the users about possible consequences, right? And you should reserve some place for LED screen. So for example, if LCD screen is installed after decorating, you should reserve the 30 millimeters in left and right side, and 50 millimeters reserved up and down side. And the design of light and heat dissipation is also very important. You should avoid the direct strong light shooting towards the LED screens, all right? So if there is a decorating edge, right, so you should make 2 to 3 millimeter space reserved all around the LED screens. And then will be the transportation and storage. So the transportation is, you should check if it is through stairway or elevator. So if for the elevator, maybe there is a problem by the space, right? Is the space is enough to keep the screen or not? And some attention point is that you should check the installation floor number and transportation condition. Check if there is a second movement or not. The condition for the LED screens and the device storage, you should also check. For example, you should put it in some where you can have a suitable temperature and avoid the humidity and anti-collision, for example. And the last step, you can fill in the site survey checklist. Fill in the site survey checklist based on the actual factors what you have observed before, like I said before. And some attention point is all the checklist has been covered. You should check, and the site picture and comments of the sites, you should better to take a picture, since there are some special points you should pay attention to which cannot be described by word. And you should note for the special customization requirements and tracking and follow the pending points from the site survey. Make sure all the necessary checkpoints has been cleared, all right? And then ask customers to review and sign for it. And we have also a site survey template for you to learn and have a look. And then there are some attention points I have to mention. First is how to stack up the LED units. So on the top, it is a wrong way to stack up the LED unit. You can see it stack up the LED unit too high, right? There are too many of LED unit. It may easily crash it down to make some damage. And also it will damage the LED lights. And then under the picture under is the correct way. If you really need to stack up the LED units, and we suggest not to do it, but if you really need to do it, then you should be stack up less than 6 pieces in total according to its weights, right? And then you should stack up face to face. So the face to face, I mean, it is the photo on the bottom right. So we can see there are 2 pairs of LED units. They are all face to face, right? And also put a paper in the middle of these 2 LED units, all right? So then will be the LED wiring. So the power cable and the signal cable should be set individually in case of any signal interference, all right? Just like I said before in the preparation and in the site survey part. And the distance between strong and weak electrical cables should be more than 30 millimeters. All right? And the cable should keep natural straight, don't forcibly bend or impact the cable. And then you should set cables in both sides of the cables to show the cable information. All right? Just like shows under here. So you should put the device label, for example, on it, like the sending card 1, sending card 2, for example. And also you should separate the strong and the weak electrical wiring, like shows here. Another thing you should pay attention to is the device and the spare parts protection. So like the scene here, during the transportation and the goods storage, you should make some protection, like use the polyfoam or bubble wrap. And then package box should with the wooden bracket, all right? And in case there is some damage, you should keep with the device maintenance and transportation record. And here's attention points which should be considered in site survey also. So I have to emphasize that because this happens a lot of times. So when perform the site survey, don't forget about the AC, and it should not be on top of the screen like shows in the picture on the right. So after installation, when air flows towards the screen, it will lead to a water condensation on the LED lights, all right? which lead to a LED light short circuit finally. Okay, so after we finish all the preparation, and we have checked all the attention points and finished the site survey, and then we can start to do the installation. We will have a look at the installation procedure and with different kind of bracket types. And for each bracket, I will use one series of LED products as an example to show you how to install the bracket. All right? So first will be the installation procedure. You should keep it in your mind. So first the preparation we have already done, then the bracket installation. So after finish the bracket, we should start to cabling. We can do the LED screen installation, and then the system configuration. Of course, during the configuration, you might find that some connection of the LED screen could be wrong, at which point you should fix it. And at last, the customer training and system acceptance. All right? So basically, we have three types of bracket. First will be the wall mounted, and then the sheet metal, and the last aluminum profile. So let's see how to install a wall mounted bracket with example of CKF models. So the first step of every installation of bracket, you should check the packing list. So the front surface LED products is stabilized by magnets. So for convenience of transportation, it would separate it into the cabinets and modules to avoiding vibration during the transportation, right? So which might cause damage. So you need to check all the situation of the bracket or the LED modules to make sure they are not damaged according to the packing list. And then you should prepare all the tools which you need for the installation, just like we talked in the very first part, right? All the tools, the operation tools and the installation tools. Okay, so let's start to install the bracket. So before we get started, you should know that do not tighten screws at first. All right, you should tighten all the screws at last to make sure that maybe in the middle you want to do some adjustment. All right. So here we can see this is a wall-mounted bracket. First, you should install the bracket and screw the screws between the bracket on the floor, of course. And then you should install the connector of the LED cabinet, like shows here. This is for the LED cabinet to fit into this bracket, right? And then you should install the power cable and the signal cable. So here we can see for CKF cabinet, the signal connection ports looks like this. It's with a lot of belt cables, right? And here is the power cable. And then you should install the LED cabinet onto the bracket which we have installed at very first beginning, right? You should install the LED cabinet from top to bottom, all right? So after adjusting the position of the box, you should use a wrench to fix the connector. We can see here we have installed the cabinet onto the connector we have just installed, right? And finish all the works, then we can tighten the connecting screws between the cabinet now. And the next step will be the connect the wires and network cables according to the wiring diagram we get from the online LED selection tools, all which is calculated and designed by yourself. So there is something you have to notice, that the ports for signal cable connection. So we have three types of ports. So the first type is from right to left is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you should connect port 1 with the LED cabinet on the bottom right, and then connect port 2 to LED cabinet on the bottom left, and etc. All right. So same for the second type. The port from left to right is 1, 2, 6 on the top, same as the previous one. But for the third type, the port is from right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's on the bottom. All right. So you should distinguish the type of the port first, and then you can start to connect the signal line. So when you finish to connect the signal line, you can pass the LED lamp onto the cabinet, there are magnets behind the LED lamp, if you still remember, right? You can just pass on it and then finish the work. And the next type will be the sheet metal bracket. So I will use CAF as examples to show you how to install a sheet metal bracket. So just like the first example, the front surface LED products is stabilized by magnets. So we have separately put the component into cabinets and modules to avoid vibration during transportation, right? So you should check if there's any damage. And also there are some tools you need for the installation. You should do the preparation before you start to install. So it's different from the first part, from the wall-mounted bracket. And firstly, you should fix the supporting leg of the base one by one, we can see here. And for the connection between different base, you should pay attention that you should not also tighten the screws at very first. And after you connect the base, you should ensure the base is level with the level rule, which we said before, or the leveler, and then you can screw the nut onto the base. All right? So this is how the screw looks like, and this is how nut looks like. And then you should install the middle frame of the bracket. So now we have a base. Then we need to set up the middle frame, right? And also install the base crosspiece, which can make it more stable between the middle frame and the base. So after finishing install the middle frame, now you should install the side frame of the bracket. And then you should install the second base crosspiece to make the middle and the side frames connection more stable. And this is how crosspiece looks like. So there is a crosspiece on the front and the back of the bracket base, and also on both sides of the bracket, all right? And then you should install the footboard inside the crosspiece and the base, between it. You can see from the picture, this is exactly where you should install it. And then you should install the top board on the very top. It's actually the head of the bracket, right? And then you should install the connection parts, which is used for the LED cabinet to put on it, just like the wall-mounted bracket. And then at last you should confirm the base level. So remember, you haven't tightened all the screws, right? So now it's the time for you to make some adjustment. And at last you should tighten all the screws when you make all the levels level, all right? So now when we finish to install the bracket, now we can install the LED cabinet onto it. So we should install the LED box at the bottom of the center first, all right? And we can see inside the cabinet there is an arrow, so you should make the arrow points up. So this is the right direction of this LED box. And then touch and feel to ensure it is level. So if there is significant unevenness, adjust the screw to re-level it, all right? So like I said in the last slide, you should install in the order from middle to side and bottom to top. All right, so which means if you have a big LED screen, you should install in the bottom middle first. The next step will be the connection of the cable, right? So in the picture, we can see that we get power and signal enabling from the LED selection tools. And these pictures are all how the cable or power cord or the network cable looks like for the CAF models. You should check whether the power cable and network cable are connected correctly when you finish the work, all right? You should check it twice. Okay, so when you finish the cabling, so now, if you still remember, we didn't place the closure plate onto the base, right? Between the footboard and the base, there should be a closure plate. So now it's time for us to install the closure plate and finish the work. So when we finish the installation of the bracket and LED cabinet, and now we can pass the LED lamp onto it, just like the first example. So we should also make sure the arrow points up, just like our LED cabinet. And also you should check the number here. Here is, for example, here we have 15 to 15.1, right? To ensure the number of two modules are consistent. So it should be the same number as the position where you should put onto the LED cabinet. Then we finish all the installation. then we should at last touch and feel whether the screen is level or not. So if there is something unlevel between the LED lamps, we should use the tools to remove it and reinstall if it is needed. Alright? Okay, so last will be an example for third generation of aluminum profile bracket. So just like the previous two examples, you should unbox and check for if there is any damage and take out all the frames from the kit and store it in turns based on the different parts, alright? And then fix all the feet of the base, just like the sheet metal one. So please still remember, do not tighten the screws at first. And then you should put the main bracket over the base now. So then you should check the installation level up. Make a further adjustment if it is necessary. Now it's time for you to fix the second level of bracket and screw up in the same way. Alright, so now you can see from the left, you put the bracket onto it as a second level and use the screw to fix up. And then check the installation level up again for the second level and make a further adjustment if it is necessary. So please notice that if you do the bracket showing some out of level, then we need a further adjustment from the down bracket or fill something between the two brackets to adjust the level position. Alright? There is the position that we should fill something like paper or else between the two brackets to adjust the level position. And then fix the connector for the LED module. So please note that when insert the T-shaped screw into the groove and turn it around, there will be a limit position to hold itself. Alright, so just like shown in the picture on the top right, so these two pictures, we can see that we should first insert the T-shaped screw, turn it around, and then it will be fixed on the bracket. Alright, so when we set the connector, we should have a predefined distance for an easier leveling later about LED cabinet. Alright, now it's time to fix the LED cabinets onto our brackets. So we should put first cabinet onto the bracket and screw up the T-shaped connector from each side. So please note that you should kindly install the cabinet from the middle bottom of the bracket as a reference point, just like the previous two examples. Make sure that the cabinet board is installed in the correct direction. Alright? And then you should level up and adjust it if it is necessary. So that's why I'm always saying that you should not tighten the screw at very first beginning, right? So then you should install the rest of the cabinets along the first piece and screw up in from the reserved connection points, alright? So this is how we do the cabling job for third generation models. We can see there is a hole here in the middle that we should use for connect the network cables and the power cords between boxes, alright? And just like the previous one, you should connect power cord to the power connector with anti-dual design here, we can see, right? And of course, you should check whether the power cable and network cable are connected correctly. So now it's time to pass our LED lamp onto our LED cabinet. So the light board modules can be installed as well. We can see you should also pay attention to the arrow. It should be points up, which is the right direction. And then last, you should touch to feel whether the screen is level or not. And if you need it, you can remove it and restore it. So after we finish all the installation of the bracket and LED module, LED lamps, so now it's time for us to do the configuration. So on the bottom is a simple configuration topology for us. So for the signal source, we should connect the local signal with the LED controller or the LED sending card with DVI cable, for example. Then connect the LED screen with the LED controller or with LED sending card with network cable. And just like two pictures on the top, this is how we connect the computer and the LED sending card or LED controller, and then connect the signal cable and together with the LED sending card or controller. So then we will use an app which is called LED Display Controller on our PC. So we should first log in with our LED controller with online device button here, or we just type the IP address of our LED controller. We can find the IP address on the screen of our LED controller, right? And then select the device to activate it and click Activate. And enter the password and confirm password to the pop-up window. So when we do the basic configuration, there is something you should notice. First is scale size. First is screen scale. So you should set rows and columns of the screen according to the actual situation, right? And then you should know that each screen contains 2 receiving cards. If the actual size is 2 multiplied 2, you should set the scales as 2 multiplied 4, right? And then the screen type, you should select it according to the product type and the material number, all right? And then the Q parameters. So you should save parameters in receiving card to ensure your screen displays properly after next reboot, right? So after the basic configuration, we should now do the signal cable configuration. We can see it's beside the basic configuration, right? So first we can find here is port 1. So we can find it on the rear of the LED controller. Here is a port with number 1. So this is the port 1 for the signal cable, alright? So then we click port 1, then start to draw the signal cabling on the screen. We can see here. So how to do this? Like the first is you select the number of the port and then click the screen on the right, for example in the picture, and then hold the mouse and make the movements. And connect the different LED cabinet, and the system will connect the cables for the signal interface according to your movements. And then right click to complete the cable configuration, and repeat above steps to complete all the cable configuration for other network interfaces. So this is how does it look like when you finish all the configurations. On the LED screen we can see there is number on it. So let's get started from the right. There is Y1 to 112, which means these 2 columns of LED cabinets are all connected with our port 1 signal cable, alright? And then the middle 2 columns is connected with our port 3 cable, and then on the left is connected with our port 2 signal port, alright? And in case that you don't understand how exactly we can do the configuration, here's a video for you to do the review. Okay, the last part will be some simple case study. Let's see some successful case from the region. So the case 1 will be a project in Dubai. So we can see from the picture that they have finished installed the bracket and then installed the cross piece. This is how does the installation looks like. They have finished install the cross piece, the board and the connector, for example, then install the module, the LED lamp onto it, then do the configuration and test. So it's a sheet metal floor standing installation, right? And then case 2 is in conference center in Congo. So this is a wall mounted installation, not a floor standing. And then case 3 is a project of hall of the school in Dubai. So this is also a wall mounted installation, but relatively with big LED screen. So that's why you should make an investment about the bearing compatibility of the wall, right? So sometimes the screen should be very big. And some typical cases you should pay attention to that the LED installation gap. So there might be some gaps between different LED lamps, like shows on the picture. It's not level, right? And also here is another video about the on level of the LED lamp here, we can see. And also we have some cases that we use the local made LED bracket, just shows here. So we have perfectly designed the LED installation plan, and they use their own LED bracket, just like shows here. It's made of wooden. And after the installation, we have successfully to install our LED cabinet onto it. And water damage, as we said before, so this case is a terrible one. So they just made a AC directly in front of the LED wall. And also there is a bad examples that behind the LED bracket, the sheet metal LED bracket, there is a window, so you cannot avoid the water damage and the humidity problem, right? And also, like I said in the installation of the cabinet, of the bracket, that we should pay attention to the installation sequence of LED modules. So we should start from the bottom middle. You should make first a small space for the LED replaced module, then make some suitable space to let it just fit in. So we can see that in the video there is no gap anymore, right? So these are all contents for today's course. So today we have learned how to install our LED product, our bracket first, and then our LED cabinet, right? So from the very beginning we have learned that the preparations and site survey we should do before we start to install our bracket, and then we have learned 3 types of bracket and how we can install them, right? They are wall mounted bracket and sheet metal bracket and aluminum profile bracket, right? So at last we learn how to do the configuration. This is the last step of the installation of our LED product, and the last chapter is some cases that we should learn something from them. So I hope you can get a better knowing about our LED products and how we can install them. So thank you for supporting Hikvision. See you in next course.